Recent trends toward smaller families and living areas have contributed to the increased popularity of birds as companions, as demonstrated at this bird mart in Southern California. Their compact size, as well as the relatively long lifespans of many of the larger species, makes them the perfect choice for our new lifestyles. Usually, it is only after a bird has been chosen for these more practical reasons that the new bird owner discovers just how intelligent, loving, and interactive their new companions can be. And from there, those people's lives are often permanently transformed as our new feathered friends work their unique and wonderful magic upon them. The number one reason for people getting rid of any type of animal is because of behavior problems, and birds are no exception. Sometimes, during early adolescence or after a bird has reached sexual maturity, behavior problems may arise. Most of these problems can be alleviated with the assistance of a bird behavior consultant, especially if they are addressed soon after manifestation. Birds are different from other types of companion animals, and it is important to understand the world from their point of view. It is often due to a lack of understanding that the people in the environment actually create problem behaviors. Because birds, unlike dogs and cats, are not domesticated creatures, they require a special type of understanding in order for both them and their humans to develop a loving and mutually rewarding relationship. Welcome to the world from your bird's perspective. Hi, I'd like to talk to you today about demystifying pet bird behavior. Why do we do this? Well, as a pet bird behavior consultant for the last 21 years or so, one of the biggest problems I see is that people tend to think that their birds are misbehaving when the birds are only behaving like normal birds. Also, I find that what people are doing in the environment is quite frequently the direct cause of what creates the bad behavior, or what we call bad behavior in the birds. I want you to understand the world from your bird's point of view today, because I'd like you to see the different things that you may be doing or the things that are going on in your environment that may be creating behavior problems between you and your bird. Traditionally, as human beings, our idea of a good pet is someone who's quiet and obedient, someone who enjoys our companionship, somebody who doesn't bite, scream, or tear up the place. And that describes a great dog. And we forget that dogs have been genetically programmed for 10 to 15,000 years or 20 to 30,000 generations specifically to be our companions. We think of cats as being wild, and I tell people cats are not wild. They're intelligent, resourceful, and independent, but they aren't wild. If they were wild, they'd sleep in the cold, wet grass, they'd eat crickets and lizards, and they'd never come in the house during the night. Cats have been genetically programmed, though, for about 5,000 years or 10,000 generations, and all you have to do is pull the top of a can of canned cat food to see who comes running. That's not a wild animal. Again, that's somebody who's been genetically programmed to be our companions. Those are called domesticated creatures. What's the process of domestication? It's taking all those favorable traits in each of the species and breeding them into their offspring so that you create an animal that has behavioral traits that you desire. Now we get to birds. Now, the popularity of all these dinosaur movies has made it a lot easier for me. You know, years ago I used to tell people they had a dinosaur in their homes when they had a bird, and they'd look at me as if I were nuts. Now when I tell them they have a dinosaur, they'll say, yeah, he's a velociraptor. So when you have a parrot, remember, you've got a little dinosaur in your homes. Depending on which paleontologist theories you espouse, they're going to say he's been around anywhere from about 40 to 160 million years or so. And what does this mean? It means, again, that you do not have a domesticated creature. It means maybe you have a domestically bred bird, but all that means is that you have a wild animal that's been bred in captivity or a domestic environment. It is not domesticated, in which the various generations have been bred for specific behavioral traits. Also, with birds, we have somebody who's a flock creature. Now, we tend to think of the flock as being more of a social unit. However, this is true for humans, but it is not true for a bird. A bird is a flock member because the primary reason for them having a flock is for protection. Why? Because dogs and cats and humans are predators. A parrot is a prey animal. They need a flock to survive. If they have a flock, they can sit there and preen or eat, and someone's always going to be watching the skies for them, or the earth for predators. However, if you have a bird without a flock, in fact, you maybe seen this before, where you see a bird who's being pecked at by members of the flock because maybe he's sick or something, and you'll think how cruel that is, but you'll notice the bird will still cling to the flock. Why does he do this? Why does he follow this flock around that's been abusing him? Well, first of all, the flock is abusing him precisely because predators look for someone who is weak. So what will happen is the bird looks weak. If the bird looks weak to the other birds in the flock, they're going to try to get him out of there. It would be sort of like if your next door neighbor was the object of some sort of terrorist group. You're not going to want him living next door to you. They don't want this bird drawing predators into their flock, so they'll try to drive him away. But what will he do? He'll try to stay with his flock. The reason he tries to stay with his flock is, again, precisely because he feels safer with them than being out on his own. And he probably is. Within the flock, there's a hierarchy. Now, this is not like a pack in which you have alpha male and female, let's say in wolves or dogs. We have alpha male and female, and their young being supported by the efforts of the other members of the flock, or the pack, excuse me. In a flock situation, basically what you have is sort of a hierarchy, kind of an upper, middle, lower class. There's certainly subclasses in between. However, in this hierarchy, it's a true hierarchy in which upper class birds brood a little higher or roost a little higher than the other birds. Middle class roosts a little lower, and lower classes roost in the lower areas of the trees. And you'll find that they never intermingle and they never interbreed. They always tend to stay with their own specific little level within this hierarchy. One of the things I like to remind my clients, and one of the biggest things that gets us into trouble, is that we like to put our birds way up high all the time. Well, if you have a real sweet, gentle little bird who by nature would probably be one of these lower echelon birds, you're not going to have a problem. But if you have a higher placed bird in the flock, what you're going to get into are behavior problems if you have your bird higher than you. Why? Because birds have absolutely no concept of the owner-pet relationship. They can only relate to us in the same way that they would relate to another member of the flock. So therefore, if we put ourselves in a subordinate position, lower position, such as when they're on our shoulder or on top of a high play area, what the bird assumes is that we're accepting his dominant role and we're also accepting our submissive role. Do you see how we disempower ourselves? And then what do? We get angry when we try to get the bird off of a high perch or a high surface and he starts to lunge at us a little bit. I'll be giving you some examples of that, some examples of that at the end of this talk. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. How height is directly related, the more aggressive the bird is, it is directly related to the amount of aggression that you will get from that bird as you interact with them. What? You want to play with that? Get it. Okay, get it. Also in the flock, there's a keen appreciation for the parent-child relationship. And what we'll find is that the youngsters will generally stay with their parents for the first year or so until their parents decide to breed and start a new family. And what will happen is the youngsters during the day will go out and mingle with their contemporaries, and then they'll come back and stay and roost with mommy and daddy at night. How can we use this to our advantage? Well, height, again, being one of the primary causes of behavior problem, can also be one of the primary causes of a good relationship if you work it properly. For example, if the top of the bird's head is too low, you're going to have problems. If the bird is too low, you're going to loom over it. Do you remember what I said about us being predators and dogs and cats and humans being predators and a bird being a prey animal? What you're going to find is that if we're looming over the bird can't help it. He's going to trigger in that we're predators and he's a prey animal. Or if we come from a blind area or walk too close to the cage too frequently, we're going to trigger a fight or flight response in which your bird's going to jerk. And he's going to become upset with that kind of movement. How does this translate into behavior problems? Well, if you have a problem with a bird who's screaming or if he's lunging at everybody, if he's within 4 feet of a path of traffic, you're going to find that you're going to be creating that situation, your very selves. And it's not anything to do with the bird. Also, if your bird is too high, remember what I said about the bird being too high? If the bird is too high and he is aggressive in nature, again, you may have a gentle bird who's going to be gentle no matter what, but if your bird is too high and he's aggressive in nature, if you try to reach for him, he's going to lunge at you. What are you going to do? If you get angry with him, he's only going to get angry back. Why? Again, he has no concept of the owner-pet relationship. He can only treat us as he would treat other members of the flock. And remember, we're predators, he's a prey animal, but as he sees us as other members of his flock, he's going to treat us as subordinates if that's the way we treat ourselves. So, if we put the bird up high and we're down here, as far as the bird's concerned, he's dominant and we're subordinates. Where does this child thing come in? What I discovered 20 years ago was that if you keep the top of the bird's head around your heart level, a very interesting thing happens. This duplicates something that every wild bird has experienced, but you'll see with mother and baby birds everywhere. And it seems to be something that's instinctive, because I've seen birds that actually have been hatched. Baby, my blue and gold macaw, who's 21 years old this year, was hatched in an incubator. Never had a mommy bird. She still exhibits the same behavior. Basically what this is if I keep her around mid-chest region where the top of her head is near my heart, she can't help it. She just sort of sinks into my chest and snuggles up to me and is very loving. Why does she do this? Again, I think it's instinctive. Mommy bird feeds her babies, and then after she feeds them, she spends a lot of time sitting over them and keeping them warm. And she doesn't have them on her tummy, she has them on her chest, or she puts her chest over them, so she has her chest against them, and so she's over them, and she does a lot of purring and talking to her babies and scooting them around, but they're always near that heart and that heartbeat and the resonance of her voice. I think that the birds, even when they become adults, feel comforted by this. And a lot of times people will tell me that they have aggressive little Amazons, and the only time they can handle them is when the top of the head is at heart level, when the person is standing. You might want to examine the way that you have your bird situated. Very quickly, if your bird is down too low, you may find him reacting in a very defensive manner, or if he's in the path of traffic, you may find him very defensive when you come walking by, or you may find him very fearful every time you walk by. If you have a bird who's up too high, you might find him becoming very aggressive toward everyone. We'll be showing some examples at the end of the tape again, but I want you to get a good feel for this. When you keep the top of the head around heart level, an interesting thing happens again. That's where you become mommy bird or daddy bird, and the bird becomes baby. I've seen 40-year-old birds go from being nasty little cusses down to becoming nice little companions when being kept at this level. People have asked me the question, now can the bird hear when I'm 10 feet away and the top of his head is at heart level? I say no, but there's a process known as conditioning. He will become conditioned to feeling comfortable in this situation. So knowing that being at this level is very loving and comforting situation will create a very loving and comforting type of interaction between you and the bird. There's no need to become aggressive with them at all. And in fact, aggression will create behavior problems down the line. I can guarantee it. Another thing to take into consideration when you have a parrot is that you actually have someone who functions emotionally on the level of a 2 to 3-year-old child. What are some of those lovely characteristics? A 2 to 3-year-old child is jealous, possessive, self-centered, emotional. They have a short attention span. They love high and low drama and theatrics of all kinds. That's a typical 2 to 3-year-old kid, but it's also your typical parrot as well. And I tell people, you've got good news and bad news coming. The good news is that your child will eventually outgrow this phase. Guess what the bad news is? Your parrot's going to be a 2 to 3-year-old kid for the rest of its life. We also have somebody, though, who intellectually is much brighter than this. There's being work done right now by Dr. Irene Pepperberg with an African gray named Alex at the University of Arizona in Tucson. She's taught Alex to identify colors, shapes, objects, numbers, since 1977. She feels that with regard to visual and auditory exercises like matching, sorting, identification, differentiation, Alex can perform on the level of about a gifted 5-year-old or an average 6-year-old child. She also feels that probably most birds could function at similar levels, but that we do not reinforce their behavior. What does this mean when you translate it out to your bird? Well, this means that your bird's probably much brighter than you've given him credit for being in the past. It also means, though, that you have someone who probably has a fairly short attention span. Now, this would mean that it's utterly unfair to expect them to sit in one place for a very long period of time with absolutely nothing to do. You might be able to expect that from a domesticated creature that has been bred for these traits through generations, but certainly not from a wild animal like a parrot, who's a very active individual. You'll also notice that within the different types of parrots, there will be some who tend to sit for longer periods of time and be more comfortable doing that. Whereas someone like an Amazon has a tendency to be quite animated, and it's very difficult to get an Amazon to focus for any length of time on anything. People have often told me that they don't think that an Amazon is as bright as an African gray, and yet I have found them to be just as bright, if not brighter, in many situations. The thing is, though, is that they lack focus, and they have a tendency to be very scattered. They're kind of good time party hardies. They want to have a good time. They'd rather be out there partying with the boys than to actually sit down and focus on anything for any length of time, and anything that takes any sort of cerebral interaction with another person. They'd rather play with you with toys and play with their own toys by themselves and make up games than to sit there and commune about nature or about Plato or something. And that's pretty typical for a little Amazon. In the jungle, there's lots of things to do. And birds are searching for food all day long, for one thing, but also they tear up leaves and branches and bark and throw them all over the ground. And in fact, that's their job. They help other things grow in the jungle. I tell people whenever they're worried about their bird making too much of a mess, that their bird's on a divine mission from God, and there's not a whole lot they can do about it. But we need to give them lots and lots of things to do. We need to give them lots of toys and activities. Remember what I said about your bird being a flock member? He also needs to be a member of the family. You shouldn't have your bird tucked away in another room somewhere. It's okay during the day if nobody's home, but in the evening when the family is together, the bird needs to be part of that family as well. It's really important because it's part of his social development. And it also creates a closer bond between you and this creature, and creates this friendship that will carry you hopefully for the rest of both of your lives. Interactive playtime with your avian friend is extremely important. Much of the bird's time in the wild is spent playing with their companions. In a domestic environment, this can be done on a one-to-one basis by simply handling your bird in a way that it enjoys being played with, or in a more structured environment where toys are used as part of the interaction. Each and every bird is different and will, accordingly, enjoy different types of playful interactions with their people. Playtime should be a relaxed and comfortable experience for both you and the bird. Never force it to do anything that it does not enjoy doing. Some individuals will prefer to merely sit quietly with their people, while others may wish to play on a more rowdy manner. As with any type of creature, a loving and understanding environment is essential for the bird's mental and physical health, and this needs to be provided by the breeder as well as the owner. Birds need lots of interesting activities to keep themselves occupied. Remember, your bird functions on the level of a small child, both intellectually as well as emotionally, and they may get into trouble if they do not have enough to do. Although there are many wonderful toys that you can purchase for your bird, all of them need not be expensive. You will notice that my friend, Gonzo, enjoys playing with a simple plastic spoon. Any non-toxic and harmless item can be used for your bird to play with. Some of my own birds' favorites include jar lids, measuring spoons, measuring cups, and a variety of safe infant and toddler toys. It is also important to provide the kind of toys that your particular bird enjoys. For example, if they prefer to tear up wooden or paper objects, they will need to have those types of playthings available to them at all times, or they may destroy other things, such as their cages. In the worst cases, they may even resort to shredding their own feathers if nothing else appeals to them. One of the things that I've discovered is we don't just do this with birds. We do it with kids, we do it with spouses, significant others, our dogs, everybody. We have a tendency not to notice those times that they're just behaving themselves and not doing anything obnoxious. I tell people if your bird's doing nothing more than sitting there breathing and pooping and he's on his perch or he's in his cage, you've got to tell him he's wonderful. You know, we have a tendency always to tell them what we don't like, and that's the only time we talk to them. And if they're just being quiet, we don't tell them that we like that. What does that tend to teach the bird? It teaches the bird that it can get interaction from us by being obnoxious. And while playing or being quiet, it doesn't get anything. So we need to change the way we interact with the bird so that we talk to them while they're being quiet and well-behaved. And if we do that, the bird is going to become quiet and well-behaved because it wants our attention. Huh? Hi! Oh! And one of the things we forget about, too, is they're extremely emotional creatures. And they're really used to intense interaction with other birds. Sometimes when you get a chance, go out and watch parrots interacting with each other, even at a pet store, little companions. You'll find that they get into each other's faces and they really talk. People are always impressed by my own birds at home because what will happen is that they're quite interactive with me when I talk to them. They make a lot of eye contact. They watch what I'm saying. They also have a tendency to reply in using terms appropriately or words appropriately. The reason they do this is because I pay attention to them. I look into their eyes and I talk to them like another bird would. Does this mean talking to them in screams like a parrot? No. What it means is being very intense and looking at them when I'm talking to them. You get an interesting interaction from them when you do this. Hi, Scooter. How are you? Are you special? You're wonderful. You are a pretty bird. You have a terrible cough. Are you wonderful? Hello. You're just a wonderful parrot. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Don't make me. No, good morning. If you'll notice how a little Scooter here, she's a little friend of mine. She's not one of my birds, but you'll notice how she's interacting as I talk to her, and she's getting all excited and happy about it. They love intense interaction, and I find that frequently people's birds will just become magic when you talk to them in a very intensive manner. So try it with your own bird. The other thing I'd like you to try with your own bird is just to tell them how wonderful they are. We always tell them that we don't like them doing this or that or whatever, and we forget to just tell them that they're wonderful. And the way that I do it is I walk up and I would say something like, Scooter, you're wonderful. You're looking at something on the floor. What's down there? Huh? What do you see? What is that? Well, she's found something on the floor. I think it's a fuzzy. Yeah. Oh, yes. I think you're a wonderful parrot. Hello. I'm going to get your book. You're going to sing? You're going to sing? You'll notice that even though she's distracted by something on the floor, she still wants to interact. And this is because she's being given a really intense attention. Hello! You're wonderful. Oh, yes. They love that type of interaction, so try it with your own bird. Do you want a cracker? She has a terrible cough. Yes. When you try to cuddle your bird, how do you hold it? Do you hold it close to you so it feels secure and snuggy? So you can give it kisses without knocking it off balance? What are you doing? Or do you hold it far away from your hand so that it feels insecure every time you try to pet it? If you'll notice my friend Scooter here, she's not telling me, she's not biting me out of maliciousness, in other words. She's trying to tell me that she doesn't like the way I'm making her feel. She's afraid I'm going to knock her off balance. Pay attention. You might be doing this to your own bird at home. And if your bird tries to bite you all the time, you could have conditioned it into biting you every time you try to pet it, strictly because you've tried to pet it on your hand out in the open where he's going to be knocked off balance instead of petting him close to you. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for being an example. One of the things that I'd like to talk about is a frequently asked question about adopting an older bird. Oftentimes people believe that once a bird gets older, especially a more aggressive bird like an Amazon, once they're sexually mature and they get older, they make lousy pets. This isn't true. If they're given proper boundaries, they generally are wonderful pets, well into their teens and into their 20s and into their 40s and 50s. I've known many of them to be that way. Often they'll go from home to home because of this misunderstanding. My little friend here is little Scooter. Scooter is 11 years old, and Scooter is now in her 4th home. However, she's been in this home for about 5 years, and she probably will spend the rest of her life here. The people that had her before simply did not understand her or why she did certain things. But once her behavior was understood and she was in a loving environment where boundaries were set, where this bird was not allowed to be up high on top of a high play gym or on the shoulder, she was just fine. Amazons also, when they become sexually mature, will become a little more assertive, and it's important to understand body language. If you don't understand the body language of the bird, quite frequently the bird is telling you clearly to get away. And if you don't get away at that time, that wasn't very polite. One of the down parts of owning a bird. If you don't get away at that time, if you go ahead and try to handle the bird, you're going to get bitten. The best exotic animal trainers I know respect this aspect of having exotic animals. They understand that there are certain times that they need to not be touched. They need to be left alone. We try to force our will too much on our animals, and this makes me sad. I've known so many birds in my life, and I've worked with so many birds. And one of the things that I discover about them is that they're just so emotional. and they can be so loving, and their little feelings can be easily hurt if you've been gone for long periods of time or whatever. We frequently get the bird bug when we get one, and we get too many birds. And I know that those of us who work with birds often end up adopting a lot of them, and we see that we can't spend the type of one-to-one time with them that we would like to spend with them. People will often get a bird as a showpiece or a show animal. They want to get it to show people that they've got something that talks or does something else. And quite frequently, the bird isn't going to talk or do something else, like some little trick or whatever that the people want it to do. One of the most important things that we have to realize is that they are individuals. And I think it's important for us to understand what loving and enchanting individuals they can be when we appreciate what they are. I like to tell people, my favorite phrase is that they are perfect. They're absolutely perfect the way God made them. They're perfect for life in the jungle. They're perfect for life in a flock. And if we understand that, and we don't force them to be a domesticated creature, if we don't force them to talk if they don't want to, if they don't force them to roll over on their backs if they don't want to, but we enhance those attributes that they have. If you have a bird, let's say that maybe isn't a good talker, but he plays so cute with little toys, this is a bird that you want to get a lot of little toys for. You want to interact with him on a level that's very comfortable for him. If you have a bird who's a wonderful talker but sort of a so-so cuddler, then teach him to say cute things and talk to him all the time and enhance that part of his behavior. They can't be perfect and they can't do everything well, but I've never known a person who can do that either. You can see that little Scooter here is quite enchanted with the camera and the lights and the attention. She's a wonderful bird. Can you imagine, again, this bird is on her 4th owner, and yet now she has somebody who understands her. She's one of my favorite parrots. She belongs to a friend of mine, and I just adore this bird, and I find her so charming. And it's just because she's appreciated now that she can be the charming individual that she is. Are you going to talk? Huh? Are you just going to... You're going to talk. Are you going to stand there and look cute? Do you want a cracker? Huh? Can you wave? Hello. You're so cute. Got the Scooter, Tommy, go to get it. Go to get that Scooter, Tommy, go to get it. Oh, I'm going to get you. Let's look at some examples of how and why our birds behave the way they do. Recently, there's been a sharp increase in the variety and quality of domestically bred, hand-fed baby birds. These birds have never known life in the wild and have become bonded to human beings through hand-feeding and loving handling techniques. Currently, we are fortunate to be able to choose our lifetime companions from a larger variety of species and breeding facilities than ever before. In virtually all animals, early mental and physical stimulation is a necessary part of their development, and it is up to the people in the bird's environment to supply this. Almost all baby birds are well behaved to begin with, and it's only after they reach about 1.5 to 2 years of age that we begin to see the greatest number of behavior problems occurring. Often, this is due to the fact that people forget that baby birds are still genetically wild animals, and that they will react differently to the world around them than a dog or a cat. Although these blue and gold baby macaws appear large, they are extremely young, still being hand-fed, and are now learning to use all their parts for the very first time. Young birds will often use their beaks for balancing or climbing, and they should not be corrected for this behavior. Like small children, they will enjoy playing with toys that give them an opportunity to become more dexterous with their beaks and feet. It is up to their human companions to beware of their clumsiness and to treat them with the utmost gentleness and compassion. Spend time playing with your bird. This enhances your relationship with it and also develops it intellectually. Scratch your bird in all of the places that it would be preened by an avian companion. By the way, have you ever seen a bird's ears before? They love to have them scratched. Notice how the bird's head feathers fluff up with pleasure as it is handled. Some birds enjoy being snuggled and rubbed all over. Have you ever given your bird a back rub? Keep in mind that not all birds enjoy being scratched and loved all over, but those that do should not be denied that particular pleasure, and those that don't should never be forced to accept it. Teach your birds to sit quietly on a perch or a gem so that they can enjoy being with you for longer periods of time without being constantly held. This increases your time together and duplicates the time spent with other flock members in the wild. And it also teaches the bird that you're not a big bird toy and that entertaining itself can be a pleasurable activity. Teach your bird some simple rules and commands, such as stepping onto the hand when asked to do so. This is relatively simple. Just invite the bird onto your hand using whatever word that you choose. You can use the well-known up command of my good friend Sally Blanchard, or any other word, such as come here. That's what my own birds respond to. Make sure that you always offer your hand or arm in a consistent and comfortable manner. Remember, if you make the bird feel uncomfortable, it won't want to get on your hand and it will be your fault, not the bird's. A set routine can create inflexibility in your bird. As a result, it may not react well to change within its environment. Vary activities and times a bit to make life interesting yet non-threatening to your feathered friend. Some birds, like some people, will get tired around the same time each evening. Because of this, it is all right to put them to bed at approximately the same time. If you keep them up beyond the time that they feel comfortable, they will become cranky, just like a small child, and may eventually begin to bite or to scream. Look at the world from your bird's point of view and respect his feelings and needs. If he's cranky, is he trying to tell you that he is tired or hungry, or that he's not feeling well? Has he been sitting on a perch or a gym too long? Maybe he's bored and wants to retire to his cage for a nap, a snack, or a little privacy. As with small children, your bird's needs will sometimes clash with your own wants. And if you respect your bird's needs over your own wants, your little friend will become a secure and happy individual. With the passage of time, a much richer relationship will develop, and the growth of mutual respect and love will be almost a certainty. Remember, if you are not taking the bird's feelings and experiences into consideration, then you are not filling its needs. It takes time to modify behavior problems on an individual basis. Since the primary purpose of this video is to help you to understand your feathered friend's view of the world, we will only lightly cover biting, which is one of the most commonly seen complaints, in order to give you an idea of some of the things that create problem behaviors. Do you see how his response was defensive at that moment? This was not aggression. This was defensive motion. He was afraid of the hand coming over the top of his head. Why was he afraid of the hand coming over the top of his head? Because that's where predators come from in the wild. He's going to be pounced on by a large creature. He's going to be swooped down upon, swooped down upon by a bird of prey. Birds do not like to have your hands passed over the top of the head. It's natural behavior. Don't punish them for this behavior. You're the one who has made the mistake, not them. Huh. Hi, you going to be defensive? That's aggression, on the other hand, and that's different. He's telling me he does not like me coming into what he perceives to be his territory, and he doesn't want me to mess with him.
Good boy, Dad.
What have we been showing you with this? We're showing you the height. The higher Zachary gets, the more aggressive he becomes. You'll notice that he tried to murder me up here. He's just trying to maim me at this level. And down here at the chair level, or where the top of his head came approximately to my heart level, it was a little lower for purposes of demonstration, he did not try to attack me. In this demonstration, we are showing how most behavior problems are actually either created or exacerbated by the people who live in the bird's environment. We often inadvertently reward negative behaviors by scratching the bird, cuddling it, or kissing it after it gets its own way. In other words, we're rewarding the criminal. In those situations, we are actually training the bird not to behave. Screaming, biting, and feather picking can all manifest for many different reasons, including improper handling by people in the environment or stress that's being experienced by them at the time. For example, birds don't know anything about the IRS. but they do understand the stress that we are under when we're interacting with them. Sometimes a bird may become possessive of a person or another bird and will bite to defend them. Here, Turbo, the Red Lord Amazon, vigorously defends his lady love, Little Saucy, the green-cheeked conure. If the bird is placed high and is difficult to retrieve, it's advisable to use a stick to remove it, so that you are controlling the incident without injury to you or the bird. It's all right to praise him once he's down at a manageable level.
Hi, Zach. How are you? Ooh, can you get all revved up for me? Can you show them what a revved up Amazon looks like? Come on. Come on. Show them what a revved up Amazon looks like. Brrr, yeah. Yeah.
When you see an Amazon with a tail like this and eyes like this, leave it alone.
Hi. Yes. We don't have any pupils, do we? Ooh.
He's telling me he's going to bite me at any minute. So what do I do in a situation like this? I leave the bird alone.
Huh, Zach? Oh, my. My, good boy. You were very good. Thank you.
If the bird is one who is aggressive by nature, a simple earthquake can be used to control his biting. This consists of a quick, sharp jolt of the hand that's used at the moment he attempts to bite. The correction is short and simple and has been exaggerated for the sake of demonstration. A much lighter jolt than the one seen here, about a 4.0 on the Richter scale, is usually sufficient. As you can see, Zachary learned not to bite immediately. It is far better not to use a voice command while correcting the bird in this manner. Let him think that God was the one who gave him the earthquake. Never allow the bird to fall when implementing this correction. You must always be a constant source of safety and security for your little friend. Never be heavy-handed while using physical behavior modification techniques. The subtler the correction, the easier it is for the bird to respond to it without exhibiting new behavior problems to replace the old ones. Also, heap the little guy with loads of praise after he's behaved in a positive manner. Birds are not domesticated animals, and they shouldn't be expected to accept the advances of strangers. In fact, because they are prey animals, a certain amount of defensiveness is completely appropriate. After all, it might save their lives one day. However, if the bird's been respected and loved, it will usually accept a request from its owner to go to a stranger. When working with your bird's behavior, make sure that you are not the one creating the problem. Don't confuse your bird with mixed messages, and always be loving, fair, and consistent in your interactions with them. Oh, by the way, did you know that talking to your bird, scolding it, or interacting with it in any way will actually reward its behavior? Most birds, however, can't stand to be ignored. Remember their need to be part of a protective flock unit, and you are your bird's flock. So therefore, if your bird misbehaves, it's far better to ignore it for a while, preferably leaving the room for 3 to 5 minutes for a baby bird, or about 10 minutes for the older ones, before interacting with it again. But never ever strike a bird. This is abusive, unnecessary, and completely inappropriate. No one, either human or animal, can resist unconditional love and praise. By praising your bird repeatedly for merely behaving itself, you're gently and lovingly training it to understand what you want it to do. Over 20 years ago, when I first started working with birds, we saw a lot of wild-caught birds coming into the environment, or coming into the United States. And it was very sad because I was seeing these birds being terribly abused and beaten, starved into submission. People would break their spirits. They would torment them virtually until they would finally come onto their arm or onto a stick. At the time, I thought these methods were barbaric, and I thought they were inhumane, and I still do. And I feel it's immoral to break the spirit of any creature, whether it's a human or a bird or anything at all. I began devising methods of humane taming techniques so that these birds would begin to build a trust toward the people in their environment. And one of the things that I found is that people always wanted to hurry. You know, human beings seem to have this feeling that they have to dominate everything. And I tend to look at our relationship with animals as being more of a stewardship in which we are to take care of them, but we don't really dominate them. We don't really own them. I might use the term bird owners, but I always know that my own birds own me if anybody's owned. I feel that I have a profound responsibility to them. With these wild-caught birds, people weren't understanding a lot of what they were going through. People were calling them mean and nasty, and I thought, wait a minute. They've taken a creature that emotionally functions on the level of a 2 to 3-year-old child, intellectually about the level of a 5-year-old. They were taking birds that had complete lives in the wild. They had mates, they had companions. We were going down and we were taking them and bringing them into captivity and deciding that we wanted them to be our pets. And I felt this was wrong, and yet I felt that if they were already here, I needed to have humane taming techniques for them. But then this would be exacerbated by people wanting them to be tame in a week or in 2 weeks. And one of the things that I tried to get people to do was to understand that they were going to have to attempt to build a relationship with the bird, and it was up to the person to extend themselves rather than the bird to extend themselves. I found that people didn't understand their body language. They didn't understand that when the bird recoiled when they came up to the cage, or when the bird fell over on its back with its claws and its beak exposed. That was not being vicious or nasty or freakish or whatever. All this bird knew at that moment and was responding to was the fact that it knew it was going to be killed and eaten. That was its point of reference. And we were the predators. And people yet would call this the bird, they would say that the bird was being vicious. They would call this viciousness or meanness or nastiness. And what I saw were intelligent beings that had their own way of responding to the world, and that we had violated their space, we had violated their rights as intelligent beings, and then we had selfishly taken it onto ourselves to make these into our companions. I have a soft spot for green wings. I have a green wing of my own that was a wild-caught bird. I got him almost 20 years ago. He's been a fabulous companion, but he was tamed with love and patience. His friendship was earned. His trust was earned by the human beings. And this brings me to the story of Carol and Feo. Feo was a green winged macaw that had lived in the shop that Carol bought. He had lived in the shop for a number of years in a cage that was only 2 feet by 2 feet. This bird's cage was on the floor. He was famous for his viciousness. He was a mean, nasty wild bird. When Carol bought the shop, he lived up to this reputation as being mean and nasty. And Carol took it upon herself to earn this bird's friendship. From what I understand, she suffered some terrible, nasty bites from this bird. She kept telling him she loved him anyway. And she kept persisting just with love, to gradually wear this bird down in a loving way by saying, okay, you bit me, I'll walk away, lick my wounds, and I'll come back later. I love you. I think you're special. And that's what she kept telling this bird again and again and again. She would keep offering him little treats that he liked. She would keep trying to touch him in a friendly manner, like birds preening with each other. Again and again, she approached this bird and told him that she wanted to be his friend. And again, she was badly bitten. And little by little, though, she noticed a shift in Feo's behavior. And little by little, Feo began to see that this woman really wanted to be his friend. And I think you're going to be surprised by the following tape, because as with many of these wild birds, an enormous act of grace that seems to be all the more touching for these creatures having been maltreated by humans from the moment they left the jungle, or from the moment they were captured in the jungle. This bird decided to hand his life and his trust to this woman, to Carol. And I'd like you to see the special effects of what happens between two creatures, someone who was born and raised in the jungle by jungle parents, and someone who was badly treated for a number of years by human beings, and how simple patience and unconditional love changed the lives of two individuals. I hope you enjoy it. This is Carol and Feo.
You want it? You want this? You want this? Here. Oh no. Go get him. What? What? He loves to put things in things.
So you can turn it so that he'd be more apt to go that way, so you see exactly right.
Give me that. Bring it here. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. Oh, you're going to show me your cup? Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on, pup. Here. Let's see. What do you want to put? You want your ball? No?
This is a bird that was absolutely wild caught from the jungle.
Time out.
And it was just nasty when she first got it. So I want to show
Time
you
out.
this.
Time out. 5 seconds. Time out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we're going to be good. Yes. Oh, wait, you're not dead yet. I didn't shoot you. Come here. Oh, no. What do you mean you don't want to be dead? I don't want to be dead. Okay, come here. Ready? Now that was too soon. Slowly dead. My slowly dead boy. Ready? All right.
And you could do that again.
Do that one more time.
Yeah.
Okay. Come here.
And then swing him up again like you did.
Okay, come on. Ready? Up, up. Come on. Woo! Oh, did you lose your balance? Who loves you most? Huh? Who loves you most? Mommy does? That's right. Are you a wild man? Okay, be calm for just a few minutes. Can I eat your feet? Can I eat your feet? I'm gonna eat their feet. I'm gonna eat the whole foot. I just want to eat your feet. Come on. Come on, let me eat those feet. Oh, they're so yummy when you let me eat those feet. Oh, come on, let me eat those feet. Oh, I want to. Let me eat the feet. Come on. You don't care? You don't care? Okay. All right. That's my food. Who gives me food? Okay, you don't play it.
What's that?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh, look at fight! Who's that boy? Ready? Yeah. Let's do Tarzan. Let's do Tarzan, can we? Can we do Tarzan? Come on. Okay. Come on. Come on. Give me the beat. Yeah. Come on. Calm down. It's okay. 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we human again? Okay. All right. Do the beat. 1, 2, 3. Come on. Oh, that's the boy. That's the boy. Yes, good boy. Can you fetch? Will you fetch for me today? Here, will you fetch? Here. Here's the ball. Go get it. You're going to take a block over there with you? Can you get this for me? Go get it and bring it here. Bring it here. Bring it here. Where are you going? Huh? Where are you going? Theo. Theo. Bring me the ball. Bring me the ball and put it in the cup. Bring the ball. You don't want to? Bring the ball and put it in. Or are you going to bring me another block? Put it in the cup. Come here. Put it in the cup. It's okay. It's okay. Come here. Come here. Oh no. Come on. I'm going to build a castle. Oh no! Oh no, you evil bird! Oh no! Get it! Get it! Oh no! Oh, woo-hoo-hoo. Can I have that? Can I have that? Can I have it? Can I have the block? Bring it here. Bring it here. Bring it here. Theo. Come here. Get the block. Go get it and bring it here. Is there too much stuff? Here's your bowl. Can you go and get the block and put it in your bowl? Can you? Come here. Oh, don't be bad. Oh, don't be bad. Ready? Go get it. Get the block. Here's the block. Bring it here. No. Turn around. There you go.
There we go. So faces are over.
We get him turned around. Oh! Ouch! Ouch! Oh no! There you go. Uh-oh, stuff under there. No. Oh no! No! Don't do it! Ah! Ah! Woo! Come on. Come on, what?
He's got you well trained.
Yes, he does. Oh no. Oh no, what have you done? Hello? What do you want to do? Come on, give me that. Oh, I'm going to put it all in your bowl. Yes, I am. Ouch! Ouch! Ow! Ow!
Okay, I want to show the silliness. That's why I want to get her voice in there, because that's what teaches us.
No! Ouch! Ouch! Oh no! Evil boy! Evil boy! Come here, turn around. Woo! What? Oh no! No! Calm down. I have you. I have you. I have you. I have you. No nose biting. No biting of the mommy's nose. No, that's not allowed. We know that, huh? Are you dying with sound effects now? Huh? Are you dying with sound effects? Get his face. Oh. Oh no. Oh no, biting.
I hope you enjoyed our clip of Carol and her friend Feo, and how much trust has developed over the years between these two. I hope you enjoyed also our whole video. I hope you learned a little something about your bird and how they perceive the world. I hope you appreciate how intelligent they are and how emotional and how special they are. Of all the creatures I've ever worked with in my life, birds are the ones that have the capacity to profoundly change people's lives. And I know you know this, or you wouldn't be watching this video right now. I hope you enjoy your bird and tell it every day how special it is and how much you love it. And I hope most of all that you love it for what it is and not for what you want it to be. Thank you again so very much for joining me and my friends on this video. And I want to thank all the people who made it possible and all the people who contributed their time and their wonderful birds to create this for you. Take care and thank you.
I'm doing a video. Hi, go.